everyone to the new topic, that is theory of structure. So first of all, we will briefly discuss about the marks distribution, that is the weightage of this topic in examination. So first of all, if we talk about GATE, then every year approximately 3 to 5 questions are asked. So the weightage comes out to be 4%. And in case of ESC, there are two stages in which technical is asked. So in the prelims stage, approximately 8 to 10 questions come from toss, and the weightage comes out to be 7 to 8%. And finally in ESC mains, it is a part of paper 1. In paper 1, half of the topics are asked, and in the paper 2, half of the topics are asked. So since we know that there are 8 questions in the examination and we have to attempt 5 questions, so depending upon which questions you are attempting, the weightage of each topic can be low or it can be high. So let's say you are avoiding toss, then your attempt of toss would be only about 40 marks. But if you are selecting those questions in which toss topic is there, then your attempt can go up to 70, 80 or even 90 marks. Okay, so in general approximately 60 marks of toss part you will attempt, and it can vary depending upon your question selection. So approximately it is 20% of paper 1. Okay, so in general if you talk, then the weightage of toss is not too low and also not too high in case of GATE examination. Okay, and in same in case of prelims. So in prelims and GATE, the weightage is, we can say, medium. But in case of ESC mains, your weightage could be as high as 80 to 90 marks. And we also know that the portion of toss and SOM overlaps, so you can't avoid any toss concepts while solving the questions. Okay, so it becomes very important in case of ESC examination. Okay, so this is the basic idea about marks distribution. Now we will discuss about the contents, that is all what things we have to study in this topic. So first of all, we will study static and kinematic indeterminacy. In this chapter we will study about two things, that is static indeterminacy and second part is kinematic indeterminacy. So what is determinate structure, what is indeterminate structure, and exactly what is statically indeterminate structure and statically determinate structure. All these questions, all these concepts we will deal in this chapter. Now in this first chapter, conventional questions can't be made. Only objective questions falls under this first chapter. So normally in GATE examination and ESC prelims examination, many questions are asked from this concept. Now the second and the third chapter, if we talk specifically, then they are part of strength of material. In strength of material topic, you will study about how to draw SFD and how to draw BMD, and after that we study the deflection in beams. So now why we are including this in toss part? Because invariably, whether you solve using force method or using deflection or using moment distribution method, you have to finally draw the SFD and BMD of the structure. Okay, and further on we are required to calculate the deflection in each structure. Only then we can apply these further methods, and hence I have included SFD, BMD and deflection in toss also. If you have properly studied the SOM, then you can avoid, you can neglect these two chapters. But if you have not studied SOM and you are studying toss earlier, then you have to compulsory study SFD, BMD and deflection. Okay, now from exactly fourth chapter, the actual part of toss starts. We will first study that there are basically two broad category of methods, that is force method and another one is displacement method. Okay, to solve or to analyze the statically indeterminate structures. So in this first chapter we will thoroughly discuss about study about force methods, and then in fifth and sixth chapters we will study displacement method. That is, slope deflection is nothing but a type of displacement method of analysis, and moment distribution is also a type of displacement method of analysis. Having studied this, then we will move on to further chapter. Now what important thing we have to remember is that large number of conventional questions are asked from these two chapters, slope deflection and moment distribution, and GATE has also started asking about this method. Obviously this is an objective examination, but the concepts of slope deflection and moment distribution have been asked. Okay, now moving on to the next chapter, that is truss. Truss is relatively easier chapter, that is while we are determining the forces in member. Okay, and we further study concepts related to deflection of truss, and further on complex truss, that is when there are redundant members in the truss. So truss chapter is relatively easy if we have studied the force methods, slope deflection, moment distribution methods. Okay, now the next chapter, influence line diagram, ILD. Most of the students have problem in this chapter. We can say it is relatively difficult chapter of this toss topic. Why that is difficult? Because in this chapter many times maximum bending moment, maximum shear force in whole beam or a particular section of beam are asked, and when such questions are asked, then it becomes relatively difficult to solve them. Okay, so in many examination what we can say is that if from toss topic question falls from ILD part, then there are chances that it will be one of the difficult questions of that examination. Okay, now the next chapter is matrix method. In matrix method we will study that using stiffness matrix or flexibility matrix we can analyze the structure. This method is more of a mathematical technique because we are solving different type of matrix. So we have to first form the matrix, and using that matrix we can analyze the structure. Okay, now the next chapters are cables and arches. Normally less questions are asked from these two topics, cables and arches, but we will thoroughly discuss them, study them. In cables we know that such type of structure can only take tension, while arches mainly take the applied forces in the form of compressive. Okay, and finally in the 12th chapter we will study different other methods which are not generally asked in any examination, but chances are there that one or two question can be asked. So Kani's method or column analogy method, such type of methods we will study in the last chapter. Okay, so this is the overall scheme of our theory of structure topic. Now we will start with the first chapter, that is static and kinematic indeterminacy. Thank you.